Good evening, parents, and welcome to Back to School Night for Kindergarten 2020-2021. For those of you who don't know, I'm Mrs. Miller. I have been at Bayberry School for 24 years. I've taught kindergarten, first grade, basic skills. I've been the reading specialist for the school. But I have to say most of my time has been spent in kindergarten because if you ask me, that's where the magic happens. This is just a short video to go over the expectations and some of the curriculum that we'll be covering this year. So let's get going. First, I'd like to start with the expectations. The online expectations are for every child, whether they are a roomer or a Zoomer, as we all spend some time in the online classroom together. We ask that you be on time and you mute yourself. Obviously, no food or drink near the technology. We are going to ask that you be available, but that as we work into the year, that I'll be asking the children to be working independently more and more. Toys are away and as a distraction, and of course, they're in a quiet work spot. Whether they're a roomer or a Zoomer, we're always asking for listening ears and looking eyes, for having our voice off, so that tell them all the time, Mrs. Miller has 2 ears, but I can only listen to one friend, so that I can give my attention to both roomers and Zoomers. And of course, raising our hand respectfully if we'd like to share, and that we are ready to learn. The typical day is right now 4 hours. When they arrive in the morning, there's usually some morning work. Even if you're at home, you're doing morning work till we meet at about 9 o'clock. From there, we'll do our morning meeting. Our morning meeting is a smorgasbord of language arts and math skills, all that need to be covered. Language arts, we then usually move into language arts. That brings us to a reading block, typically, which I'll get into in a few more moments. We have a snack. Currently, it's about 30 minutes. As we move forward, it will decrease in time length. We have math block. We have a social studies, science, health, or SEL block, which is character ed and social emotional learning. We always have a special. And we have some free time play exploration. If and when we transition to a full day, we will then also include recess and lunch, a quiet rest time, which is really like a rest, it's just really a quiet time, and some free choice centers. All of our curriculum that we teach here at Bayberry is based on the New Jersey Learning Standards. These are standards and objectives written by the state and disseminated through the state so that everyone is teaching the same curriculum. Here in Watchung, many of our students master the kindergarten objectives and move on to working towards first grade standards. In reading this year, we will use a workshop model for the most part, in which I will teach a mini lesson and then ask the students to begin independently reading, employing those same skills that I have just taught. Now, I recognize that in the beginning it will be memorizing, and that is okay. I will be coaching in and asking you to coach into their reading. Also, it will include a guided reading. Sometimes I'll be having small groups, and that includes for my roomers and my Zoomers. It also has read alouds. All of this type of reading and interaction with literature is to develop a whole host of skills necessary for reading. To complement our reading program, we have our Foundations or our phonics program, in which we will learn our letters. We'll learn them with a hook, such as T, top, t. We'll learn formations, both upper and lowercase. We will talk about tapping and segmenting sounds. We will also do blending and be learning sight words. And finally, let's move down to our writing block. Our writing block, again, will be a workshop model. Well, I will do a lesson, and then we'll ask the kids to independently write. At this point, we're working on labeling pictures, but as we move into the year, we'll be working on narrative, opinion, and informative writing. For math, we use the Go Math program. It has many components, they're visual and interactive. Basically, we want to develop a mathematical understanding and number sense and problem-solving strategies. It's no longer just 3, it's 3 seen multiple ways. Throughout those units in Go Math, we will talk about numbers 1 through 20 and beyond, comparing numbers, greater than, less than, addition, subtraction, geometry with 2D and 3D shapes, measurement, classifying and sorting data, And then we will also extend to patterns, graphing, ordinal numbers or ordinal numbers, ordinal numbers or order numbers, even and odd, logic problems, and time. We'll be teaching time to the hour and the half hour. Social studies and science typically go in alternating blocks. We have 6 official units for science, although this year science is going to have to be rethought because most of it is hands-on learning, and that's not really something with COVID restrictions that we can do so much. So we will be doing the engineering and design process and technology, forces in motion, which is push and pull, weather, the earth resources that we use, plants and animals, and how the sun warms the earth. We'll work on those throughout the year. When we're not learning science, we're typically working on a social studies unit. Here we have historical figures such as Abe Lincoln and George Washington and Martin Luther King Jr., Johnny Appleseed. American symbols, the flag, the bald eagle, national monuments. Holidays, this includes holidays around the world and holidays that are celebrated throughout the year. Communities, needs and wants, which I typically do in December, families, and mapping. Social studies and science will also alternate with health. We have specific health units to cover: germs, nutrition, dental health, safety, and hygiene. And then also we have character education, and character education really happens every day. This year, we're using the Second Step program that has 4 units. The first is skills for learning and becoming part of a community. That is the community in your home, at school, in our classroom, and beyond. The second unit will be feelings and identifying emotions. How do you feel when you're doing this, and how do you when you're having an emotion, and how do you see it on someone else? Number 3 third unit will be emotion management. And 4 will be social problem solving. These will be the units that we work throughout the year to continue to make sure that we are kind first. Finally, skills to succeed in kindergarten. This year, I recognize that many of our students may not have finished their preschool year. They may have ended school in March. Some preschools extended further and sent home work, and some did not. So this year, our children are coming in and they're, I won't say behind, but they are at a little bit of a disadvantage because those work habits that they've been building were interrupted. And so if there's something that you can do at home, these are the 7 things. You can find them on my website as well. These are the 7 things that really help to develop the skills necessary for kindergartners to succeed. Solid oral language. Can your child communicate in full sentences, and do they have basic vocabulary for everyday items so they can communicate what they want and need? Potty is one of them. We now that we're in kindergarten, we use the word bathroom, and just having the kids transition to that can be a change. The ability to listen. This is big. Does your child listen when being spoken to? Can he or she follow simple directions or 2- and 3-step directions? Does your child make eye contact? Eye contact is key to letting someone know that they're being heard. The desire to be independent. This one I'm going to need a lot of support with, because although for some of you, you have an adult near you or available to you, for my kids, or you're the adult available to your student, I really want the kids to do it on their own. I would rather you be available for help than sitting next to them telling them what to do. This is where they start to take ownership for their own learning. And we start to build their independence. You can do it at home with things like, can they unload the dishwasher? Can you go upstairs and get dressed by yourself? Go upstairs and brush your teeth. Giving them tasks that they know they can have success with will build the desire to be independent. Playing well with others. This one's a little tough in kindergarten this year because we can't really play with friends. We kind of play at our own desks independently. But that also will include even not just peers or siblings, but that also includes when they will play game with you. Do they know how to interact well? Can they share? Do they have the ability to compromise? Do they always have to win? Or can they understand that sometimes you get what you get and you don't get upset? Strong fine motor. This will be key for all the writing. We will be writing and drawing and coloring all year long. They need to be able to use those, have strong little fingers for this pincher grip. So in terms of tying and zipping and opening and cutting and holding a pencil correctly, we will be doing much to strengthen those skills. However, you can do some at home too. Have them sprinkle on a cupcake, have them ice or spread peanut butter on a sandwich, have them build with Legos, those fine motor, have them use chopsticks to play a game with. Any of those skills will definitely help build that fine motor strength. Basic letter and number recognition. Start with the letters in their name. And there are a multitude of games that you can play if your child is unfamiliar with the letters and the numbers. You can play games for numbers with dice or with cards. You can play Uno or even just War with a deck of cards. And basic letters, it's not just the letters and the formation, but the sound that they make. I'll be sending home information on other games that you can play if your child needs support. If they need help right now, please start with the letters in their name, and then you can follow the letters we're doing throughout each week. Finally, read, 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 read. Reading is so important. Reading is the basis of what we do, our understanding. The language continuum says that we listen, then we speak, then we read, then we write. When you read to a child, you give them fluency. You let them know what it sounds like. You teach them intonation. You teach them story context. You are able to point out conflict and resolution and how the story ends happily ever after, if it does. Those are skills. A child that has story context will do much better, and they will become a stronger reader at a faster development rate than students that don't. It's already been proven as well that kids who are read to 20 minutes a night have increased vocabulary and outperform students that do not have someone reading to them later on in standard test scores. So if there is one thing that you can do for your kids out of all of these, please read to them. I'm a parent. I understand sometimes you just need them to go to bed. But the gift you are giving them, in addition to the contact time, is immeasurable. So, things you can do. Quick overview of our curriculum. I will be having a question and answer period live. I'll be sending you an email a little bit later with that information so that we can ask questions. I recognize some of you have never even been in the building. So we will have a live question and answer period. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this. I look forward to developing a relationship with both you and your child. I thank you for your patience and understanding as we get through all of this. And I look forward to not only their smiles, but a great year together. Take care.